Madness in the transfer market as Rangers slap a jaw-dropping £25 million price tag on Nico Raskin, while Premier League giants circle like vultures. Russell Martin pulls the plug on Nobel Mendy, and suddenly all eyes are on Monaco's electric fullback Kasum Watara. Expert shares verdict on Jayden Magoma as Rangers transfer completed. Hamza Igamane steals the spotlight with a swaggering cameo that's already got supporters begging for more, just as Rangers stare down a massive Champions League showdown with Club Brugge. It's all kicking off. Buckle up, because you don't want to miss a second of this one. You've probably just about caught your breath after that wild 4-2 against Alloa, haven't you? But while Rangers were sweating it out in the Premier Sports Cup behind the scenes, another move's been ticked off in this busy, relentless summer window. Rangers have officially snapped up left-back Jayden Magoma on loan from Brentford, signing number 10 if you're counting, and with Jeff Day halfway out the door and Ridvan Yilmaz not exactly giving off settled vibes, this one could be crucial. Now, let's be honest with ourselves here. This isn't just some kid plucked out of nowhere. This is a 19-year-old who cost Brentford a total package of £10 million from Southampton after just 4 first-team appearances. That alone tells you the English rate him, and when the English rate a defender, it's usually because he's got that modern fullback blend, power, pace, aggression, and a bit of flair going forward. Sounds tasty, doesn't it? Magoma's been through the grinder already. Loan spell at Preston, youth pedigree with England, and a manager in Russell Martin who knows him well. In theory, he should slot right into this system, especially with Martin desperate to implement his style after a rocky start. Let's not sugarcoat it. The results so far haven't exactly lit the heather on fire. A couple of Premiership draws scraping past Alloa, and now there's a massive European test against Club Brugge looming on Tuesday night. And guess what? We're still waiting on international clearance for Magoma. Just our luck. But here's the rub. There's reportedly no option to buy. So unless Magoma completely flops, we're basically polishing up a gem for Brentford and waving goodbye in May. Is that clever business? Or is it just desperation papering over cracks because the club can't get the Ridvan and Jefty situation sorted? Russell Martin says he knows the player, trusts him, and believes he can handle the pressure at Ibrox. We've seen it work with others, Gassimer's already lighting up the place, but this is a different kind of gamble. Left back at Rangers is no position for the faint-hearted. You're either solid, consistent, and trusted, or you're toast. If Magoma doesn't hit the ground running, we're in trouble. But if he flies, we might have just found our secret weapon for the season. Should Rangers really be wasting time developing a £10 million teenager for Brentford while we've got our own transfer chaos to fix at left back? Nico Raskin, £25 million. That's the price Rangers have slapped on the Belgian midfielder's head, and you better believe it's not just monopoly money we're talking about here. That would shatter our club's record fee, overtaking the Calvin Bassey deal to Ajax, and send a clear message: we're no longer the bargain bin of European football. Now, you've seen it yourself. Raskin hasn't exactly hit the ground flying this season. Dropped for Victoria Pleasant and Dundee. Questions starting to swirl. Joe Rothwell sniffing around his starting spot. But credit where it's due, Raskin's bounced back. Got his head down, put in a shift, and reminded everyone that on his day, he is the engine in that midfield, strong on the ball, aggressive in the press, and not afraid to speak his mind. That last part alone makes him worth double in this current dressing room. Let's talk numbers. Rangers paid £1.5 million for him. Standard Liège are due 20% of the profit, which adds a wee bit of spice to the valuation, but even still, £25 million. And that's big boy territory. Aston Villa, Wolves, Brighton, and even Fiorentina are all keeping an eye on him, and Raskin's already admitted the English Premier League is where he wants to be. That's the danger. Former interim boss Barry Ferguson reckons he's worth at least £15 million. And you know what? Barry's not often wrong when it comes to spotting a proper baller. He worked closely with Raskin, called him Premier League ready, and if that's true, if we really are looking at a future star, then why would we even think about letting him go this window? But here's where it gets messy. If Russell Martin's trying to build a new identity at Ibrox, can he really afford to lose one of the few players who already understands the demands, the pressure, and the pride of pulling on that shirt? Or is this just a case of cashing in while the value's high, even if it leaves us light in the middle of the park going into a European showdown? If the offer comes in, £25 million, record fee, big payday, should Rangers take the money and run, or does selling Raskin now prove we've got no ambition beyond balancing the books? Well then, Saturday brought a wee shocker, didn't it? Rangers pulled the plug on the Noble Mendy deal just when it seemed like the versatile defender was all set to become the latest addition to Russell Martin's ever-growing rebuild. But before you start worrying about defensive depth again, hold on to your scarf, because there's a new name in the frame that should get you far more excited. Watara. This isn't some raw prospect who's never seen the inside of a first-team dressing room. The lad's 20 years old, already got over 50 senior appearances to his name, and has been holding his own in League One with Monaco. Now, that's not the French Championship. That's proper top-tier football, and the numbers don't lie. He's levels above what we've been getting from the left side. Let's break it down. Expected assists, chance creation, crossing success. Watara smashes it all. You've been watching Jeff Day flutter about with more missed targets than a stormtrooper, but this Monaco boy, he delivers. He's what the trendy analysts would call very offensive, but let's be real. That just means he's an absolute menace going forward. Dangerous balls into the box, confident on the dribble and not afraid to mix it with the big boys. Reminds you of a certain James Tavernier on the opposite flank. The best part? He's not some makeshift centre-back being shoved out wide for convenience. This is a proper left-back. And at a time when Jeftay's heading for Palmeiras and Ridvan Yilmaz is about as committed to the cause as a tourist in Largs, this could be exactly what Rangers need. Forget the Mendy experiment. Watara would offer actual balance to the back line, let Martin build from the flanks, and, crucially, give us another threat in the final third. Of course, Monaco value him at £13 million. That's not pocket change, but if you're serious about making Ibrox a fortress again, domestically and in Europe, you can't cut corners. You've got to invest in real quality that makes an instant difference, not just a body to tick a squad box. So here's the real kicker. If Rangers were ready to spend serious cash on a utility defender like Mendy, why would they back away from going all in on a proven front-footed attacking left-back like Watara? Is the board's hesitation over signing Watara just another sign they're unwilling to back Russell Martin properly when it comes to elite-level talent? You sat through the Alloa game, didn't you? And if you did, you saw it just like the rest of us, a Rangers side trying to play like Barcelona, but with the cutting edge of a butter knife. But then, for a glorious 22 minutes, something changed. Hamza Igamane stepped on the park and suddenly you could feel it. Swagger. No fear, no hesitation, just a lad playing like he's meant to be the main man at Ibrox. He didn't even manage a shot on target, and yet you could tell instantly, this boy's different, holding the ball under pressure, bullying defenders, letting fly when the space opened up. It was Morelos-esque. Russell Martin even called him mad. And you know what? Maybe that's exactly the kind of madness Rangers are crying out for right now. Martin says he's not ready to start, still catching up from a knock. But when your team's been carved open 108 times in 7 games, when you're passing the ball around like you're trying to bore the opposition into submission, you start to wonder, what are we waiting for? Let's be blunt here. Danilo doesn't look like a Rangers striker. Desires is hot one minute, cold the next, and apparently capable of injuring himself just by falling over theatrically. And now we've got Mikey Moore in the mix. Looks promising, but he's a kid. You can't hang your Champions League hopes on a lonely winger who's just unpacked his boots. Igamane was linked with Lille, right? £15 million was the price tag, and they walked away. Now, Feyenoord are sniffing around. The club's clearly trying to balance two things: cash in now or keep him and go for the big fish, the £40 million Champions League bounty. But if Martin really believes in his project, he needs to put his faith in players who have the bottle to make it happen. Igamane's got the presence, the power, and crucially, the personality. You saw it. I saw it. That arrogance, that confidence. It lifts the team. It scares the opposition. It's the kind of energy we haven't had since Morelos was flattening defenders for fun. So why, when there's so much on the line, are we not building the attack around the only striker who looks like he actually wants it? Is Russell Martin deliberately holding Igamane back to protect a future transfer fee, even if it means sabotaging Rangers' chances of reaching the Champions League? If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now.